Hello and welcome to the AdTech Heroes podcast. In today's episode, we are going to talk about the role of the programmatic trader, and I'm delighted to be joined by Anam Amin. Anam is currently leading programmatic product and supply management at Publicis. She has over 8 years' experience in the media industry and has worked with a diverse portfolio of clients at a regional and global level. Now within the partner management role, Anam bridges the gap between partners and clients by building a dialogue that is personalized for the brand. She's also recently been recognised as Campaign's Face to Watch Under 30. Hello, Anam. Thanks for joining us today. How are you?
Hey, Dal. I'm good. Just close to the weekend, so excited.
And kind of getting straight into it, it'd be great to find out more about your background and career.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a tricky one whenever someone asks me that. I'm a bit of a late bloomer in AdTech. I mean, it wasn't really an industry you think of when you're growing up because it didn't really exist. So my career journey has been a bit of an interesting one, for the lack of better words. I've been a bit of an explorer since I was quite young. So I started working when I was 17. I explored different industries, but when media industry happened, I was just so fascinated by how much there was that I didn't know. So the curiosity kept me around. Eventually, I decided to do my undergrad while I was working. Because I saw scope to build things or be part of the growth. And honestly, I haven't really found a dead end. There's always something new that can be picked up on since I've been in the industry. I started as an operation executive within the group. While doing that, I had my eyes across all different departments, navigating what I really wanted to specialize in. And programmatic was just picking up in the market. So after graduation, I took a little break, but eventually I started as a trader. Worked with a diverse portfolio of clients, eventually moved on to leading programmatic strategy for one of the largest tourism clients, which we worked on in MENA, to now fully transitioning into programmatic partnership management. And that's a total of 8 years since I've been in the industry. Learned a lot, met a lot of wonderful people, have had great mentors, which I'm truly grateful for. So it's been quite nice, to say the least.
How important have those mentors been for you? Kind of like in your career in the last 8 years, do you have regular catch-ups with some of them? Has it changed over the last 8 years, the different types of people you've been talking to?
It's been different, and honestly, I know the process of finding a mentor is very different in different places. But for me, I feel I call them mentors because they have had a significant impact in my career and my journey. And there's not been one. So I've been lucky to have worked with leaders who were there to help me and guide me. So there have been multiple people who've had an influence from, I would even say, people who've hired me to when I did not really have the background, to people till date who guide me towards like the right direction or the things they think I could, excel in. So that's always been, that's truly been like a blessing, and it's been different people. So I would say I've been lucky that way.
Amazing. And fast forward to now then, what's your current role now at Publicis, and what is your kind of day to day?
Right. So like I said, so I manage the programmatic supply and product. I work with partners in the region globally to identify programmatic opportunities for clients across Publicis MENA. So it could be media, data, tech. So I, as you said before as well, I look at bridging gaps between suppliers, agency teams, and clients wherever I can. Basically, not to have a blanket approach anymore, because I think that was that was a slight gap or problem before, and I think it's made a huge difference when you personalize your solutions towards a brand or a client. I also work with what we call the champions within the team that can lead certain products forward. So we work together to stay up to date on all industry trends regionally and globally, and capturing anything a client could potentially utilize, especially a new partner that's coming in the market. We get ahead, we get all the information the client could potentially ask for. This also gives the traders an edge to specialize on hot topics aside from just being like managing a client, or of course that's important, but you need an edge. So yeah, that's what we do. Product development is a huge part of what I do.
And how many traders are there within Publicis based in the Middle East?
We are
put you on the spot there, haven't I? With Go for it.
There are quite a few. We've grown honestly since I joined. The team has grown so much. I would say there are over 28, 29 traders in total, including seniors and executives and managers. I think it will be 29, and it's growing now. We are looking at growing the team. I think by next year it'll be over 30 for sure.
Wow. Wow. And how has that role of that trader changed over the years, and how important are they to the overall company?
I can speak for where I work. I do imagine it's a similar approach elsewhere. But in the last, I guess, 2 to 3 years, there's been a huge shift from just activation and sharing strategies with agency lead who then pass on to the clients. It's not as siloed anymore, I would say. Traders are actively involved with the clients, understanding how they think, what they're looking for. I mean, it makes sense, right, to have experts on the subject matter to lead the dialogue, especially when it comes to programmatic, because although it's not really rocket science, but it can be easily misunderstood. And we know that being in the industry and dealing with clients day in and out. Honestly, this transition has helped a lot, build trust with the clients. They know who we are, how we function, ease the back and forth for the planning team as well, I would say, so they can focus on other aspects of client strategy. And generally, clients are more keen on spending programmatically in the region versus how they were before. I mean, I haven't heard the word black box as it was being called when I first started. So that dialogue, the day-to-day dialogue with the client has really helped ensure, I think, just build that confidence with the client teams on how programmatic functions.
Yeah, I think that's definitely important. And I remember, again, going back to when I joined the industry about 11 years ago now, 10, 11 years ago. And yeah, we would speak to traders, but very, very kind of, it was more on the activation, right? So it was typically in programmatic, as you know, things go wrong. So it's having a conversation with the traders to fix deals, for example, for PMP deals. And it was less around strategy, it was less around, at a partnership level and together working collaboratively to think of solutions for the brand. And whereas now, kind of like fast forward it now to 2021, we're seeing a lot more of that. And it's interesting to see that role of the trader has definitely changed, and that I've seen that it's changed over the last kind of 10 years or so. So no, it's great to give them, I suppose, that added responsibility. I know in the past there was possibly, for good or bad reasons, high labor turnovers for traders, and a lot of traders would move trading desk to trading desk. And what I'm seeing now is, because they have that extra responsibility, a lot of them do stay longer in that role. Is that something that you're also seeing on your side?
So I understand where you're coming from. I believe that must be a big thing in the European market, but I would say within the region, yes, it on some level that's true, but you don't have a lot of traders in the market. I mean, it was fairly new when we started off as well, but you made a very good point. Yes, although they're involved with the clients, that responsibility kind of pushed them to be more aware of how partners work. It's not just like activation and troubleshooting. It's really understanding, how products and solutions are working. So when they're having this conversation with the client, they're able to, have a 360 approach. Currently, we're also working on, so because of this role now, I'm sort of diving into the supply side management as well and how things work. So I really think, yes, of course, we work on the demand side aspect, but when you're talking to a publisher or when you're talking to a supplier, the troubleshooting should not just be left alone to the supplier. You should understand where it's coming from to be able to ask the right questions. And it helps the industry grow as well, right? If you ask the right questions, we all come together and we work together. So it's a very good point. Involvement with partners has also increased. Aside from the standard workshops, like partners are involved on client level trader conversations as well. So I think that's been a changing point as well. In terms of turnover, I think a lot of factors come into play, but frankly, I've been with a group for the entirety of my media career. So I wouldn't say I'm an exception. I've been working with the same traders for the last 4 or 5 years. as well. So I do think, yes, different responsibilities and different opportunities help them like stay. And obviously the culture matters. So that's kept us here, and our career progression has been pretty consistent. So there was no other reason to just, move out unless, I mean, it might differ from company to company, but again, I can just speak for where I am.
Definitely. In terms of talent, so talent's super important. Hiring grads straight out of uni or very limited experience to hiring people with 2, 5, 10 years experience is important across all the different departments. How are Publicis doing this in the programmatic space, and how have you seen that develop?
That's such a good question, especially for the MENA market, right? We have quite a skilled bunch, if I may say so myself. Seniors with extensive programmatic and client strategy background, but when it comes to fresh talent, they're usually through our internship programs. So our team has grown massively over the years. We could see that the positive impact of new way of working that had on our business, which meant we needed to grow. So we also needed skilled traders, which is not to be too dramatic. It just really felt impossible to find traders who would fit the criteria. Because there's no formal education to be a trader, we started off with a small team in our Beirut hub who are now in managerial roles. But over the years, we built an internship program where fresh graduates get to learn everything from scratch, see how everything functions. So a lot of time and effort goes into these internship programs, the training material, from ensuring they're certified to training with different teams on activation strategies and building confidence when talking to their client teams. A lot of times there's a narrative where when you have a hub, they're only meant for activation. That's not how we function. We wanna hone them from start to finish, right? We want to get them, be confident enough to not just lead the technical dialogue, but also have a conversation with the client, understand what they need, and to be able to deliver the right kind of strategy. We then hire the top candidates through our own internship program. Each one that's come on board so far has been exceptional, honestly. And I can say, which is why our talent is also the most hunted in the market. So this is how we hire fresh graduates.
No, it's great to see, and it's a similar approach that we have at Seedtag, where you walk into our office, our HQ in Madrid, and there's so many people that have come through the ranks. Started off as trainees or internships and worked their way up, and we've got people now heads of departments that have been with Seedtag for 7 years. So I think the key word here is patience, right? You need patience with the people, patience with the speed in which you want to grow. Sometimes we want to rush things a little bit too much within a company to try to get to that end goal as fast as possible, whereas it may happen organically, and if we invest in the right people and in the right places, you don't need to always look outside for that kind of person to come in. And sometimes on paper, on their CV, they might look like the perfect profile, but it then comes back to cultural fit and ethics and work ethics. And if that doesn't match, sometimes it's 6 months to a year, you find out later, and then you have to get rid of them anyway, and you need to bring someone else in. So yeah, I think investing in the right people and nurturing as well, especially these grads that are coming straight out from school or out from university, is so important. And it's great to see that you guys are doing it on the agency side as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And also the field that we're in, you need to build that kind of like relationship even with your teammates and the people you hire, because it's not just relationship with client and suppliers. It can't always be business, right? You need to make sure that you're working with them and understand how they would work with you as well. So within the internship program, we also sort of look at how they work with different team members aside from their general knowledge as well. So because that's key, because that builds your team and that builds your culture. And I have to say, with a diverse skill set, and they come from different backgrounds as well. They're engineers in our team, business graduates, marketing graduates, and also even on the nationality diversity, there's we're all from different backgrounds, and we all come together pretty well, if I look at it. And I think these internship programs really help you kind of understand if you would fit in the culture as well and fit within the team and how you're willing to work. So yeah, I agree with you. It's nice to hear that you were doing the same. In the market, I'm not sure how many agencies are doing this, but definitely I think it's been very rewarding for us to put for although it took us time and allocating the time per trader. It with all of the workload, it's a lot, but it definitely pays back in tenfolds, I would say.
Definitely, and it's great to see you're kind of looking at people from different types of backgrounds, different types of experiences, not only educationally, just generally life experiences,
Yeah.
right? I think we always looking at education as an indicator of how successful someone is going to be in a role, which may not necessarily be the best indicator. And in generally in marketing and in advertising, if we think back of our school days, and I remember studying business studies at GCSEs or A levels, and it was more of this creative background people needed, or like the Mad Men type,
That's true.
not thinking about the culture, but looking at more of the creative and the execution rather than kind of the nuts and bolts and the technology in the background. And I think that's where programmatic has made its stamp, is the profile of a marketeer has changed somewhat from being this kind of really creative person to being a kind of numbers person or a platforms person. And like my background's economics. I worked in finance for a little bit, and I would have never thought of working in the advertising industry. Whereas people now, I think there's a lot more courses available now related to digital marketing and marketing. So you're probably more exposed to what this industry works like. But yeah, that's definitely an interesting point.
That's very true. And I think just aside from us leading this internship program, our global teams are also actively involved in, documentations, creating, point of views and around industry topics. So that also helps us incorporate within our internship programs as well. So, definitely there's a lot more resources now than we had before when we started. But yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely.
And I found, so as you know, with Seedtag, we've been active in the market, in the MENA market for a couple of years now, and you've been a massive advocate for us. So definitely appreciate everything you've done for us. It's interesting to see. It is a melting pot of so many diverse people, right? From other markets across the Middle East, people from India you speak to, Asia, Southeast Asia. You've got tons of Brits out there, Aussies out there, Americans out there. That must be interesting to see, so many. I think it's one of the regions that I've seen it. And I work in London, right? So I see that already. But I think it's done to a totally different level in Dubai and speaking to clients out there. How have you seen that then translate to programmatic and programmatic adoption in the Middle East? So you seeing, because there's so many diverse people coming from various different markets, lots of different knowledge, maybe some markets that have adopted programmatic, a lot more faster than the Middle East and Middle East clients. How have you kind of seen that develop over the years that you've been at Publicis as well?
In terms of the diversity or the programmatic adoption?
So in terms of, the programmatic adoption in the Middle East, how has that kind of developed, over the years?
Okay, just to go back on the diversity topic, I guess I grew up in Dubai, so for me it was never really a surprise to like see something like this. I mean, if you look at our team, although we have a hub in Beirut, but our team is quite diverse. We have talent from Lebanon, India, Syria, Saudi, and the Pakistani, Turkish, Moroccan, Nigerian, and our head of our department is Australian. So it's pretty diverse within the team as well. But when it comes to the industry itself, I think it's a very, I wouldn't say it's a unique thing to see. It's if you're in Dubai, it's but natural. You'll meet people from all walks of life, right? I'm not sure if it has had a significant impact, just the diversity itself, for sure. When people come from different markets who are already developed and like they're already forward in tech, of course, they bring that knowledge. So that definitely helps when it comes to supply side. For example, like speaking to you, bringing Seedtag in the market, obviously it makes a difference for our clients and, what they can look forward to in the future. So definitely talent from different markets who are already engaged with, the advanced ad tech in like European and US market, that really helps the MENA region. If I look at the adoption rate over the years, it has grown without a doubt. I'm not sure how familiar you are before we got involved with Seedtag, but at the time when I started, we were not just working with the clients, we were also educating local supply partners. Now, when I look from a supply perspective, we have access to more premium inventory than we did ever before. I couldn't give you a number exactly on the growth, but there has been an increase for demand for innovation and multi-moment targeted executions that can sort of seamlessly continue the dialogue between brands and consumers across screens and devices. So MENA market, the way it's been seen, it may have started late, but the rate at which the market has embraced innovation and creative solution has been so great. And that's why I say that it's just never ending, right? You always pick up something new and you can implement it. And there's always an opportunity to build something and to hone your skill in something. Like if I look at emerging channel adoption right now, it's been quite positive. For example, when audio was introduced in the market, clients didn't shy away from testing it out. Now it's only growing. Supply has increased. There wasn't a lot of supply. You had just select one or two partners. I do think the education needs to continue. The ad tech jargons overwhelm a lot of people. Like now there was an article on the connected TV and the OTT by MRC. There's a new, the new terminology. So the clients are always confused when they're planning on that. The more we continue to simplify it for the client level, the better. I also think the education applies to us. So we continue to build narrative that, works for the industry and works for the client and works for partners and agencies and everyone. So I think to sum it up, the adoption may have been a little slow, but they don't shy away from testing it out. I don't see any brands saying, no, we don't want to. At the rate at which the market is growing is, I think, phenomenal.
And do you think everyone is chipping in with the education part, or do you find yourself sometimes it's always you, the agency, educating the client? Is it sometimes the other way around? The clients come back to you and said, did you know there's this vendor out there or this, data source, or media owners? Are you seeing it across the board, or kind of one of those players in the market more so?
That's a really interesting question, because I was thinking about it just recently, how this never used to happen before. It was us sort of leading that, narrative or that dialogue. But because of clients being aware that there are so many different technologies and so many different innovations, I think brands understand that they need to be up to speed. So they are pretty, I would say, proactive in reading up things, being part of different marketing circles, or whether it's through LinkedIn, whether it's to editorial publications. I have in the recent times seen clients come up and, ask us questions about a certain partner or a product that I wouldn't know about. And I would then research and get back to them. So that's definitely an interesting change I've seen over the years. So I would say, yes, the clients have now started to ask questions, and no question is silly, but also like introducing us to partners that we probably wouldn't have heard of or we didn't get ahead of. So I wouldn't say it's just us. I do think your big supply partners are also contributing. I think clients are also in some ways contributing. I wouldn't take the entire credit. So, but we're focused on our learning. So, but yeah, I would say it's a joint hand now. Yes, of course, we have to put in more work, because, it's just because we're on the go. We're trying to influence, the right strategies. But you will definitely hear things on the client perspective and even from the supply side.
That's good. It's good to know. And I think, that education needs to happen across the board. But, there's so many, you just mentioned it now, there's so many players in the market. It's probably quite difficult to keep up for the agency, for the brand. But it'd be good to understand from the MENA perspective, who are the dominant players? Is it like your typical Googles and Facebooks or the big publisher houses? It'd be good to understand kind of the ecosystem out there.
Well, it is Google and Facebook in the market as well.
Surprise, surprise, yeah.
Surprise, surprise. It is Google and Facebook. I would say these are the dominant players. If I talk about anyone else, I don't think they meet up to that, level. But Google and Facebook would be the dominant players, I would say. And everyone else are like in their way. They're huge in the market, but not as big as Facebook and Google for sure.
And the local sites have a lot of power, right? In the Middle East, is it safe to say? So you've got a couple of 2 or 3 big publisher groups, or is it more so kind of the networks that work with maybe 10 to 15 smaller publishers? I'm guessing at Publicis you work probably with all of them, right?
We do, and I think with my current role, the idea is to build that portfolio, and I think what has happened over the years as well is that because you have so many publishing, whether it's independent publishers or networks, it gets so confusing where you should spend with or who you should spend with. Sorry, I think the direction or the vision I have is, or what I'm trying to do in this role is to build proposals that fit a category. So I wouldn't, yes, there are networks and publishers that are big in the market, but why I couldn't name one is because they all serve a different category. So it won't be fair to say that one is bigger than the other. You could have like a news publication that is really, it's huge in the market, great content, and a lot of partners, a lot of clients go for them. Then there are these networks who have a mix of different category of sites. So there's definitely a mix, but the way I am trying to position within the agency is build proposals on vertical level or a category level or the content level, right? So that's how we work. We do have, yes, local. If you're running locally, yes, of course, local media will have the power. But I just couldn't name one. It would be hard. I think it's just mixed, and it's just different categories, and it's just they're all significantly big in their own way.
Okay, no, that makes sense. I've got one final question for you. If you had a superpower in AdTech, what would it be?
Superpower in AdTech. Okay. Single ID across all domains and digital properties that reads the same across all platforms. It's hypothetical, right? It doesn't have to be owned by anyone. It could be owned by the user if they want to control how they see it. But since it's my superpower, then I probably will know what it is. But if we're going all out and benefiting it personally, then personalization. I can change into different people at different times in different ways. For example, I'd love to be an avid investor at the right time. That would be super cool.
Brilliant answer. I think that's all we've got time for in today's episode. So thanks, Anam, for your time today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.